Dziękuję,
serdecznie.
życzę przyjemnej podróży.
Tak, słucham. Yeah, from Morocco. Could we speak English? Would it be possible to speak English? Okay, the two chairs from Morocco, the red ones. They are red. They are actually red, but I perhaps. Okay, so let's say it is reddish pink. The textile. Yeah. You can wash it. You can easily take it out. Yeah. No, because unfortunately I'm not in the Netherlands. I will be back on Saturday, so we can set an appointment for Saturday. Whatever suits you best. 6 o'clock sounds fine. Yeah, it's Emma Straat. 15. Number is 204, but on the doors you will see the names listed of people who lived at the Afdeling, and my name is Jacek. Jacek.
Dzień dobry. Jest restauracja Samira w Warszawie. Tak, i proszę, mogę rozmawiać z szefem? 10 minut. Tak, dobrze, mogę rozmawiać teraz też, tylko mam pytanie. Ja zapytam o jedzenie, nazywa mansaf.
حكينا قبل كم يوم حكوا لنا يوم السبت.
Tak, i rozmawiamy wcześniej z panem szefem i on powiedział, że cały sobotę mamy mansaf, macie mansaf. To znaczy jutro, na przykład kiedy jesteśmy w Warszawie, mogę znaleźć mansaf.
Jedziemy z Poznania.
Okej. Dobrze, za 10 minut, tak? Dziękuję, do widzenia, do widzenia.
A z czym chcesz chlebek do szkoły? Z szynką czy z serem?
Serem.
Z serem, a trochę szynki też?
Nie.
Na pewno?
No to
Jak możesz nie chcieć szynki? Znaczy wiem jak możesz, ale... No dobrze, nie to nie. Z serem tylko?
tak.
No, ten ser jest jeszcze dobry. Pokaż się w przodu. Zobacz, tata nie umie robić warkoczyków?
Nie, ja to nie wiedziałem.
Nie wiedziałeś, że ja nie umiem robić warkoczyków?
Nie wiedziałem trochę. Nie umiałeś.
Dobrze, zapytam Amber, która mnie nauczyła, dobrze?
I albo mama.
Albo mama. Ubierz Helena buty i szukaj plecaka. Tak, zaś kto przyszedł, może mama.
Nie, Lena.
Mama.
Jak ładnie wygląda. Hej. Mi tak przykro, że to będzie ten rower. Nie mogę mieć chujowego.
Właśnie zajmuję w niedzielę do 21 i na saunę. I będziesz musiała chyba trochę wstawiać do opieki, jeżeli by cię plany goniły. Lena?
Mamy nic innego w ogóle cud znaleźć.
Tata, umiesz pokleić mi?
Znaleźć i stracić. Ale to chyba już nie teraz, wiesz, bo teraz idziemy do szkoły.
Mama, to już kiedyś to tak, żeśmy go stali.
I kupuj rowerek. When Helena is around, I can do anything. I don't like to work in the workshop with her. Studying is also, I can go to the garden with a book, but it's not really studying, just reading, scanning the text. But this is my time to focus when she's at school. And, you know, still Roma has to work in the hotel that time, so she is not granted this privileged mornings that are, just wonderful. You can get everything you need done. That's why we were so obsessed with going to bed early and not wasting it, because if you give up the morning, what do you have? Evening with Helena, friends around, like no chances to focus. I couldn't afford my own workshop, but I had several months when I started my research master, when I would be working 4 days a week and repair like 3, 4 bikes, 5 bikes a week. And then there was some income. I just struggle with professionalizing myself. I don't want, because it could trap me. And you probably know that if you don't have your workshop well organized, then the job... This month, for example, I guess I'm going to sell 2 bikes before the end of the month, and it will help me to pay the rent. But now it became some sort of a B plan, you know, that I do it when I have to. So when I'm in despair, didn't have enough hours in the hotel, didn't sell anything besides that, then I'm like, okay, I have to jump on bikes very quick and sell 2 or 3 if I want to. I have a very fancy bike, but I know that once I'm in despair, I'm gonna sell it. So, and this moment is coming. This guy was he was the father of my grandfather, and this was his father, and he's sitting there in a Prussian uniform. And they were all Polish German speaking. They are from the 19th century, so I have like a time capsule. It's funny how children mimic the adults, you know? They are all sad, and even the youngest one decided to follow. He's also quite sad, you know, like he's not very enthusiastic about the whole situation. In Poland, we lack this capacity of coining our own social theories. I mean, since people didn't have time, the social changes were too fast and too dramatic that someone would have time or know how to tackle upon it. So I was like, yeah, if Anglo-Saxon historiography and theories are so popular in Poland, yeah, let's go to the places where they were coined and let's see how people do it, you know, like, because the quite authoritarian structure of Polish academia was also unbearable. And I was like, yeah, you need to be granted the space for free thinking if you want to propose something that would help us to understand society and history. And in Poland, it was not very practiced at the time when I was there. I mean, of course, now we see people like Kacper or other coming back from the West to Poland and trying to encourage people to just think on their own, promote their theories, be more independent, and don't fall into this patriarchal crap or trap. It's one of the most precious pieces in the collection. Even though my mother would hate it. Because, you know, my mother being a musician and thinking of a composition and like orchestra and how dramaturgy develops and stuff. I mean, hip-hop beats being basically looped sounds are like, yeah, it starts good, you know? And my mother would always ask, where does it go? And then it loops. And then my mom is like, what is this? I mean, that's quite dumb, you know? And I'm like, yeah, because it's hip-hop, you know? Like, that's the beat of my generation, you know? We are quite dumb. I mean, we don't, I don't know, I mean, we don't, I mean, most of us, or, okay, maybe I should not generalize, but, I mean, yeah, people don't dare to, yeah, I like our everyday life, you know? It looks, basically, we don't see those grand pictures that people see, like in Philharmony. I think that's what you go for, that the story has its beginning, then it's nadia, the lowest point, the highest point, and then it ends, and then you go through catharsis. We are the generation without catharsis.
Na stacji Szczep można przesiąść się do pociągu w kierunku stacji Malbork. Przesiadających się prosimy o zwrócenie uwagi na informacje stacyjne. Wysiadających prosimy o zabranie bagażu i rzeczy osobistych oraz zachowanie ostrożności. Dziękujemy za skorzystanie z usług PKP Intercity. Życzymy udanego pobytu w naszej dobrej podróży. Dobranoc.
I have not abandoned anything and anyone. I'm just living elsewhere, but I still want to keep up with this like a dual life, you know, to have the access to two different realms. And yeah, this one is I know, I just value a bit more because I feel more comfortable. I speak the language and I feel like a fish in the water. Things are changing in Poland very quick, and I mean, I left when I was 21, so I was in the middle of my BA program. I was a young father, and it was quite chaotic, so it was the best moment to leave. But once I establish myself, or I get the skills I want to have, or I find a mission in Poznań that I could undertake, then I would like to be back.
Pociąg TLK uznany do stacji Świnoujście i stacji Gorzów Wielkopolski Wschodni przez stacje Czarnuły, Wroń, Krzyż, Stargard, Szczecin Główny. Stoi na torze 56 przy peronie 6. Pociąg objęty całkowitą rezerwacją miejsc. Wagony o numerach 51, 50, 11, 12, 13 znajdują się na początku składu pociągu. Wagony o numerach 14, 11, 16, 17, 18 znajdują się w środku składu pociągu. Wagony o numerach 40, 41, 19, 20
مش شوي انت مشغول يعني انت افهم انك مشغول. اها اوكي خلاص بتخلص يا سيدي انت وبتحكي معي. ما هو بتعرف ان العجقه هاي. تمام بستنى تليفونك حبيبي همزي. باي باي سلامات. باي باي. I'm imagining myself, I'm in 20s, I'm a musician, 20s, in the 20s age, meeting a man in my father age and sitting and telling him about his skills, what we have rules, what we don't like, I didn't like it. I really didn't like it. And sometimes while I'm talking to him or to the people they want to work, I don't like it. I don't like it. I feel I just want to quit the job because of the. I used to give feelings. I used to play music. I used to receive feelings, not to do rules and to be strict in management. And I don't like it. I have to do it now to work. And sometimes I have to be. I'm trying to be, delicate, like soft with them as I am with my feeling, with my art feelings. But if you do this at work, especially you are the manager, maybe your work it will, come in your head. Because if there is no rules, there is no strong hand at work. When I departed from Palestine to Poland, it came more strong because I'm far from my religion, let's say, and I'm far from this atmosphere, the feast atmosphere, the mosque, the church. So I'm really far from this. From my family, I grew up in my religion. I didn't touch it, I didn't see, I didn't felt it. I just, wow, your family is Christian? Yeah, I'm Christian. Your family are Muslim? Yeah, I'm Muslim. So I didn't touch it. I want to touch, I want to feel, I want to believe more. Why I am Muslim, why I am Christian, why I'm Jewish, why I am. So a lot of questions I want to know about my religion to understand why I behave like bad or good. As much as Poland changing me here, it also reflects and affects my feelings to my culture and my family. If I received something from here and I used to and I love these feelings and I believe in it, when I back to my home, it will be maybe hard to be what I was because I'm creating a new Nidal here.
Dobry. Proszę?
Wierzbę weźcie, ładna jest.
Aha. Weźmiemy wierzbę. Tylko nie wiem przetłumaczyć, bo mówimy po angielsku. Nie wiem, jak jest wierzba po angielsku.
Willow. Willow.
Willow?
Salix sepulchralis chryzokoma. Chryzokoma.
Chryzokoma.
To jest wierzba nagrobna albo cmentarna.
Cemetery willow.
Ja. Salix sepulchralis chryzokoma.
Mhm.
Wierzba nagrobna albo cmentarna.
Oh, this is my kindergarten. This is the first skate spot. It was the most beautiful day in my life when I flipped them. Ah, fuck. Feels as if I was 9 again. It was 97, I was going to school and I heard like some breaking glass. And then I looked and I also saw someone like falling down. And then like 2 months later, I had an appointment with a friend in front of this block and I was staying there and then I also heard like this massive like boom sound. And then there was also a guy who just landed on the roof. And it was like the end of recession, unemployment, alcoholism, and yeah, we got sad about those blocks at some point. That it's not that fun because people are falling down. Yeah, but that's very sympathetic about your corridor or your hallway. That if you go up, you know, the walls are also or were exposed to some artistic frustration. Here is just some young frustrated poet stated that you all think the same, you all follow the same rules, I hate you, you're all fucking Muppets, and you are all gonna to die in this shit. It's somehow hard to ask people to understand you in the West in such a city as Groningen, which is just this bastion of like a middle class, and many of the moves we have and phobias we have, yeah, and also nice things that we see about our surroundings are coming like from this basic formation at the project or at the blocks.
Well, the honey is still good here. You want some honey? I had this trip today that, you know, took 15 hours. And the bus driver, he really fascinated me. Because he was saying that he's always, like, discriminated in the Netherlands because he's Polish. And then he looks Polish because he dresses so. Like, he was wearing, basically, when I met him, he was wearing, of course, tracksuit, like, really long socks, like, you know, this sort of sporty shoes. they're totally out of fashion and never were actually in fashion, but somehow it is in fashion here. And then he says that, yeah, and they always discriminate against me because I'm Polish, and they can see that I'm Polish from 30 meters because I'm dressing as such. And I'm like, okay, so, you know, it's sort of, it is sort of identity issue, and he's ready to be discriminated for his Polishness, but his Polishness is defined only by the fact that he's discriminated. So it's sort of like circular argument, and it's like really puzzling. I mean, there is no point in being ashamed of where you come from, right? I mean, I'm also like trying to, like, I never go back in my memories to Poznań, but I accept that it formed me very much, in a way.
Uwaga. Yeah. And then we put the lock in. Yeah. Islam Osama. And make sure all the time we have the table clean from here and down also, yeah?
Trzeba dzisiaj wszystko sprzątać.
صار شيء جديد؟ في شيء جديد صار معك؟ ولا شيء؟
لا
تمام. هلا بدنا نشوف الموضوع هون. القرودة كاي نشفى طبعا الكراسي صح؟
نشوف امبارح
الحمد لله.
شوف الصورة بتاع ده تجريد.
توصل لي شوي هون أسامة. وديك. وبتعرف ليش مشخطات هم؟ من الزيح. لأنه بزيح هذا واحد هيك وواحد بزيح هيك فكله بطير. كل شيء تمام بخير، كل شيء بخير. عن طلبات اليوم منيح ولا لطيف؟ توصاي عندنا شيء؟ الحمد لله. يلا بخير. إذا ناقصكم شيء بتخبروني هون، ما فيش هون بتخبروني. تمام؟ يلا يعطيكم الصحة، موفقين يا رب. ديروا بالكم على المصلحة.
Dobry wieczór Państwu. Po raz pierwszy nie wiem, co mam powiedzieć, szczerze mówiąc. Jak mawia biskup senior Dębowski, jak nie wiesz, co masz powiedzieć, to powiedz prawdę. No to powiem prawdę. Tańczyła dla Państwa Anna Mendak-Czekaj, pseudonim Samira, jedna z najlepszych tancerek tańca brzucha w Polsce, a nawet w Europie. W 2008 roku najlepsza tancerka flamenco w Polsce.
Muszę to odszukać. Jak nas stąd wywalali Niemcy, ojciec mi zrobił zdjęcie. I okres Zabramki. To już ci powiedziałam wszystko na tym okresie. A potem 46 rok szpital i już tak szło do 50 lat szpital, dom, szpital, dom. Byłam leczona, bo nie było nawet penicyliny, a gdzie o streptomecynie. I potem wyszłam też za chorego Andrzeja, żeby się lepiej rozumieć, na 2 rentach. To znowu były takie czasy, że nie honorowali tych domów za prywatnych. Po wojnie nam stawili lokatorów i przez całą komunę tak było. No i teraz z tymi lokatorami to było tak.
Gdzie mieszkali lokatorzy?
Do góry.
A babcia, dziadek i tata?
Tu, wszyscy my tu mieszkali. Tata nie było na świecie jeszcze. I ja i moja mama, jak umarł ojciec, wzięła jakąś kobietę ze wsi, która tu mieszkała i trochę jej w ogrodzie pomogła i trochę jej przy tych dzieciokach pomogła, przecież ta kobieta mnie...
I ten kwaterunek trwał do którego roku? Do 89? Mieliście tutaj lokatorów?
Nie, ja wywaliłam na poczet mojej izolacji. Lekarze poszli mi na rękę i dali...
Ale nie poczuła babcia żadnej zmiany jakościowej pomiędzy tą działalnością w latach 80. i 90.
To było tak samo. Ale co ja mam z polityki? Ja nic nie wiem o polityce, naprawdę. Ja się polityki tak boję, jak diabła ci powiem. I wiesz, do kogo porównałam politykę? Do prostych...
Nie, no bo pytanie jest też tak jak mówiłem, w zeszłym tygodniu dowiedziałem się, że na przykład niemiecka ekonomia bardzo zyskała na tych migracjach. Jasne, że jest tam 10 czy 5% ludzi, którzy powodują problemy, nie asymilują się, ale jest też 90% ludzi, którzy chcą dobrze żyć. Oni jakby też chcą pracować i jeść. To nie wygląda w ten sposób, że każdy z nich jest nastawiony na kradzież i na...
Ja mam się bać na ulicę wyjść wieczorem, bo jest ciemno, bo mi znowu łeb utnie turek.
Nie no, można się bać, można się już teraz bać wychodząc na ulicę. Jakby...
Jest takie powiedzenie, że gość i ryba po 3 dniach śmierci w domu. A jeszcze mi tutaj takich tam emigrantów jakichś. Ja mam wszystko.
Ale byłaby dość tych
Ja
emigrantów
sobie z dużo rzeczy nie zdawałam sprawy jako
Ale też chodzi o to, że ludzie po pewnym czasie przestają być gośćmi. Ja też wyjechałem do Holandii i też byłem tam gościem, a po 5 latach teraz na przykład już mogę głosować w wyborach do samorządu i głosuję, bo jakby jestem dopuszczony nawet jako migrant do tego.
Ja jestem w takim stanie psychicznym słabym, że goście mogą być, ale ja muszę być zamknięta w swoim pokoju i każdy niech robi swoje. Ja nie mogę. Ja już mam taki stan psychiczny.
Ale uprzedzenie babci do migrantów opiera się na takich przesłankach, jak na przykład skandal...
Żal jest ich też. Cierpię, że ich widzę. Jak
Gdyby
widzę,
to było
jak te
dobrze zorganizowane,
ludzi
to może
z
by
dziećmi
zaakceptowała.
tutaj gną, to patrzeć nie mogę na to w tej telewizji. Ale jak mogę im pomóc? No jak mogę im pomóc? Zaakceptować ich, wziąć ich tu?
Nie, babcia nie musi personalnie jakby tego robić. Mi się wydaje, że to są wybory polityczne. No, ja też, jak była debata przedwyborcza, to głosowałem na partie, które chciały to w cywilizowany sposób
Słuchaj,
rozwiązać.
od 3 miesięcy ja nie mam dochodów i przypływu i ja widzę, jak pieniądze chodzą. Wszystko podrożało. A wczoraj się dowiedziałam od rzeźniczki, dopiero podrożeje. To ja już tej biedy mam podtąd.
لطلع راس الجبل وانسى
واطلع راسي جامل وانزل عالعالي واقول يا مرحبا للسمها وبلادي يمام ويل الهوى يمام ويليا يمام ويل الهوى يمام ويليا ضرب الخاجر ولا حكم النبي فيا ضرب الخاجر ولا حكم النبي فيا ليليا 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 أمان 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 يا ليل.
Proszę Państwa, za chwilę zobaczycie Państwo prezentację Dubaj.
Zacznę od krótkiego wprowadzenia, takiego krótkiego montażu filmowego, który da przedsmak tego, czym jest miasto ze złota, bo tak zatytułowałam swoją dzisiejszą prezentację.
Let's buy something.
Jacek had always community of the skateboarders to look up to or to meet or something. I never had that. But that's why maybe it was a bit harder for him to leave than it was for me. Fuck. I don't feel at home here. I never did. I'm not interested in society, which maybe sounds harsh. We were coming back here late at evening to go home to my friend Julia, my dearest friend. They didn't want to let us in at the beginning, asking whether we were gypsies. I think it's because me and Julia are darker, but I think it's also because we were not behaving as everyone else, and I think like gypsy here is more as functioning as some sort of trait of character than it is some ethnical racism or something like that. I mean, every time you will be singing in the street, or you're getting slightly too drunk, or you start to dance, or you will throw the bottle against the wall, which happens sometimes, then you will be called a gypsy. And you speak different language as we did. So I think that was it. I mean, it's a shocker. I'm used to it because it happened all the time here. But certainly I do not want to be the different one, so that's why I left, because it's uncomfortable when everyone is like constantly noticing you in the crowd, and even when you don't want to be noticed, or even when you want to remain transparent or anonymous for some reasons. So in a way. Well, I don't know much about my Tatar roots, so I just know Well, Jacek also have Tatar roots, right? So it's more clear with his grandparents, because I think someone bought his great-grandmother for a bottle of vodka, and that's how she entered Polish society, because she found Polish husband. But I don't know how did it work with my family. It's a lot of things have changed right now. So there is a lot of Ukrainians living in Poland nowadays. And gypsies are, if you're talking about gypsies, they are totally pushed aside from society, and they always were. So in a sense, maybe I was functioning as a substitute for this minority. Something that you could tolerate in your backyard, but was because it was not gypsy at all. There's some oriental look, an emotional attitude maybe.
وين انت؟ شو؟ طب احنا عم نصور بالرنك، شو رأيك نلتقي ونروح سوا ولا لا مشغول انت يعني عندك بلانك الخاص؟ على 4:30. طب اوكي بس خلص انت. مش شو انت مشغول يعني، انت افهم انك مشغول. They talk about deserts, they talk about camels, they talk about Aladdin. Aladdin! I was walking in the street and someone from the window, really, hey Aladdin! Hey Aladdin! He was like shouting, willing to me, like Aladdin, Aladdin! Sometimes they talk to me Spanish, sometimes Italian, sometimes Mexican. They talk to me in the street. And I say in my mind, oh, that's good. They think I am, Spanish or whatever, not Arabic. Because if they know Arabic, they will beat me or they will, And I like the differences between the language in Arabic and Polish, because some words in Arabic it's mean positive things, and some words in Poland it's mean very, very, very bad things. For example, when I say "Akhuy," in Arabic it's mean my brother. You are my brother. And in Poland, if I say to someone "Hey, akhuy," it means oh my God, you are. It's not a good word to say it.
Każdy ma inny sposób, tak widać.
Kurde, ale żeście mnie tu zaatakowali. Najszybszy na świecie.
Okej. Hej.
Idźcie na ekonomicznie chyba. Pod ekonomiczne, te dwa murki, wiesz o co
No,
chodzi?
a one są jakoś mocniej rozgranitowane niż kiedyś były?
No idzie w chuj. Ja tam ładuję sztuczki takie, że...
Tak, to idziemy ładować sztuczki na ekonomiczne.
I liked the tram before, and I like everything is happiness to me in this tram in Poland. But after the attack, I really started to be afraid to talk in my language in the telephone. Like sometimes I'm receiving some calls from my Arabic friends. I wanted to speak in Arabic, but because of the atmosphere here, I just wait. I don't talk in the tram. Okay, sometimes it's noisy because I talk in telephone in a tram, but I have to speak. But I feel not comfortable to speak in my language in the tram because of this situation. Sometimes people look to me in the tram like, oh. Sometimes they get far from me, actually. Like I'm standing here, they don't like to be with me or standing by me. Actually, in this street here, Blas Vernoshi, like the Square of Freedom, they call it. And all the time when I'm passing, not every time, one of the time I was passing here and people asked me for a lighter, 3 guys. I said, I don't smoke. Now I smoke here. I said, I don't smoke. And that time I didn't have any lighter, any cigarettes. So I said, I don't, sorry. And they wanted to beat me. And, oh, go, run. So I just ran. I keep my feelings inside me. I don't throw it out because if I felt I'm in to sing while I'm talking, while I'm walking, I can't, especially in the streets. I feel maybe someone will come to beat me. Maybe someone will come and don't like what I'm doing and he will bothering me with feelings, with physically. And so sometimes I don't feel well to sing in the street. And at the same time, it's different when I am in concert singing in Arabic. So I don't understand these things. In the street, I can't because someone will bothering me. But in the concert, I can't sing in Arabic because no one will bothering me. So what is the difference?
bardzo dziękujemy.
dobry, ma Pani może jakieś bukiety, albo mogłaby Pani zrobić jakiś bukiet z goździków ładny? A, okej. Dobra, to może ten. Dziękuję. To może bez tego papieru.
Nie, bo jest zimno.
Dziękuję. Nic miłego. She says the flowers will die if we don't wrap them in paper. So it's a cruel country, you see. This is the whole day of work. Like, this is your daily pay. If you're doing regular, like, sort of average job, let's say. So I would say it's expensive. Dzięki. But I'm not working here as well, so I can only compare it to what it was, let's say, 5 years ago when I left, and I have a feeling it's twice as expensive as it used to be. But people survive somehow, so I don't know. The driver that I was riding with today is working 15 hours a day, you know? So that's how they survive. It's shit life, if you ask me. I think there is like a big class struggle in the city and in Poland, and the divisions are deepening rather than not. And I don't know, like you see it with these Ukrainians that come, and refugee crisis is only showing how the society is poor in the end. So you have like this people, and you have nice political parties like Razem, and you have some good people in university, but they will never be majority, and they will never. I feel that they will never have any real influence.
Sorting cutlery is the most humiliating thing, you know, since some people had it in their mouth, and then waiters would basically come and do like, you know, like that's what they do, like. And then they engage, like they expect you to engage with it all the way, like, could you please sort it? And then you have no other they don't provide you even with gloves, you know? It's just like, doesn't matter, disgusting or not, has to be done. I don't do it for a sense of belonging, or they don't provide me here with some meaning to life, or that I feel necessary. They provide me with €9.20 per hour, you know. That's enough. I mean, in Poland for this job I would be paid €2 per hour or 2.50 at best. But the problem is that there is no stigma. No one laughs at me because people here know that it's just a phase. They saw hundreds of people like me, you know. We have waiters studying medicine. And I mean, everyone was perfectly aware that they are going to be soon gone for the offices or cabinets in Amsterdam and just, I mean, had to survive somehow the studying period. Therefore they came. So there is a certain degree of respect, you know? Like, if I would like to become one of them, of cooks, yeah, then it would be different, you know? They would judge me differently, but...
A second. See you next week. Ciao guys.
But it is fine. I mean, I don't want to have my interaction with them to be like preconditioned or biased, you know? Like, I'm chef cook, I'm a student, you know? We both know who we are and where we... I mean, then the spectacle starts, you know? And I don't need it here. I mean, I want to get recognized for good dishwashing here, since that's why I'm here for. I mean, this silent resistance and changing the system from within, I mean, why would I mean, what else I could apply at this workplace other than Wicked Smile? I mean, to resist what? If management goes too far, then people do resist. And it's not only Wicked Smile. People do stand up, you know, and say, like, no, we are not going to go that way.
Na spotkaniu, dla którego pretekstem jest wydanie tej oto książki. Kapitalizm i historia krótkiego trwania. Po mojej prawej stronie siedzi jej autor, Kacper Pobłocki, antropolog. Co ciekawego, antropolog ma do powiedzenia o procesach gospodarczych. Zapytam Cię, Kacprze.
Pierwszą rzecz, jaką bym powiedział, to jest to, że nie ma na to jednej odpowiedzi, tak? Bo znów takim kolejnym rozpoznaniem, które jakby stoi u podstaw tej książki, jest to, że wszyscy odmieniają kapitalizm przez możliwe przypadki. To jest słowo, które pojawia się bardzo często w każdym możliwym dyskursie. I dziennikarze, i naukowcy, i politycy o tym mówią. Ja się w pewnym momencie zorientowałem, że ostatnia książka napisana przez polskiego autora, która odpowiada na to pytanie, jest z 1965 roku. Czyli przez ponad 50 lat tak naprawdę nikt w Polsce się naukowo jakby na serio tym pytaniem nie zajmował. A w innych krajach jakby ta dyskusja jest niezwykle żywa, niezwykle twórcza i tak dalej, tak? Więc ja tam też pokazuję jakby skalę jakby tych możliwych odpowiedzi, tak? I jakby różne próby odpowiedzenia na to pytanie. Więc w pewnym sensie punktem wyjścia tej książki jest empiria, jest rzeczywistość, która uciekła ekonomistom. No i celem takim intelektualnym jest zbudowanie języka, który pozwoli nam to zrozumieć. A, z przyjemnością. Co, poczekaj, mam taki specjalny długopis, który się nie powiedział. Przyjechał porozmawiać. Anegdotycznych niż mniejszych jakby artykułów. Anegdotycznych, bo mam powiedzieć o Legionie, jakiś study case. Jaka dyskusja doszła?
Tutaj?
No.
Nie wiem, podobało mi się, ale szkoda, że nie było takich challengerów twardych, jakby, którzy przyszli bez tego i w wieży akademickiej, żeby się zmierzyć, bo wtedy, no to nie wiem, może takie tania sensacja, ale mi to zawsze sprawia wielką przyjemność, jak widzę, kiedy oni mają problemy z otwieraniem się na nowe spojrzenia.
Dobra, kurczę to włączyć, bo to wyłączyłem. Sól jest tutaj. Tu jest sól. These are the very last tomatoes from this season. There's this like a small market in the area where people actually who have farms, they come and sell them. And these are the last real tomatoes from the summer. And then we'll be stuck with Dutch tomatoes for the rest of the year. I think the Dutch tomatoes was the biggest culture shock for me. I was not part of the Dutch society, but I could still see like the dirty stuff underneath. So I think I deconstructed the liberal model by living in the Netherlands. I think this was a big part of that experience. I kind of instinctively knew that there's something wrong with this liberal kind of paradise, you know, that there's something there that nobody talks about, but there's a fundamental flaw with the whole system. And some of the Dutch people would explain in such a way that actually we have this ideology of being tolerant, but actually in the end we're kind of quite indifferent, you know, like it's just about making money. And then you kind of put this together and you realize it's like Amsterdam is one of the keynotes for trafficking arms in the world, of course the drug trade and so on. And then you kind of start to uncover this dark side of the Netherlands that is there underneath this kind of liberal veneer of happy kind of a place.
I mean, that's what I think is one of the theses of your book, that Poland, by joining the West, was not really knowing where the West is at the moment. And that's where the disillusion comes from. I mean, this is the myth created at the time in the 90s, that now we are going the right way and you should like demonize communism and the socialistic experience as much as possible. So this is the narration that my generation was exposed to. I mean, I didn't believe that. As soon as I started to study history, I was just trying to disassemble this narration and see how it is built, by whom, on what historical experience. But many of my friends start to do it later. I mean, just when they face the housing, when they face the labor market, then they start to ask questions like, how did we end up in here? Why is it not as great as I thought? And then some of them just try to look for the genealogy of the problem.
And also, now, everybody is focused on the neo-fascists in Poland and so on, but actually the Netherlands was in the forefront of that, if you think about this, right? With Pim Fortuyn and so on, as one of the very few people who were basically preaching the Donald Trump gospel. So in that sense, the Netherlands was really in the forefront of that, because it was one of the most liberal kind of societies ever. It was also one of the first societies to bred fascism, because obviously we know this from the 20s and the 30s that actually fascism is a child of liberalism. I mean, it's obvious if you know a little bit of the history.
Stop. Helena. Jeszcze w lewo, prawo wolna, lewo wolna. Yes. Dzięki. Kasper's argument is a historic one. But I mean, he plays with the Western history and Polish history at the same time. Years ago, there was our friend's father who was working as a captain on a boat, on a ship. So he was like well educated at the sea academy, earning a lot of money. And then when he learned that his son is skating instead of playing tennis, he would say like, "Hey, skateboarding is something that black kids do." But he was referring to pop culture and what he saw in MTV. You know that, black kids from Bronx would skate and the middle class white boy should play tennis. But that's all. He didn't mean it the way it was presented in Kasper's argument, because yeah, there we go. This argument about blackness basically is a historical one. So it's about Poles, many of Poles not being aware that like more than 90% of the country's population before 20th century didn't have much rights, and they were all peasants working within this manorial system that is labeled by historians as second serfdom. And I mean, the main concern is how easily or why they picked up on the middle class bourgeois discourses from the West, and why would they identify themselves with the history of the privileged few percent, whereas the situation or working conditions of many Polish peasants in 18th century, for example, were comparable to work conditions in the colonies. I mean, that's how Poles became white. In his article, what he talks about is that we have something in our culture that would be equal, because in Polish we have hamstwo. And ham was, in 17th century, it was a noble guy without a land, so he was worthless. And to behave like a ham means to have no good manners. And then somehow even workers started to call each other ham. So someone who misbehaved in the public space would be immediately denoted ham. And that's what he focused on. Who were those hams? And ham as a word comes from the Bible, because you had this Japhet and Ham, two sons of Abraham, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, I know what was wrong with Ham and why he being labeled Ham would be. But I mean, this is this genealogy of nobility where some parts of nobility would see themselves as descendants of Japhet, and the others are from Ham, and they are worthless. We don't belong to the same tribe. We are genetically different. So those who misbehave in the public space, they do misbehave because they come from a different genetical branch of this Slavic tree, so to say. So it is racism, but cultural. This ham is equivalent of black, that I don't know if in the West being black or being black, what does it mean, since in the Netherlands we don't hear that. And Black Pete is just a sympathetic little boy.
But if I may ask you, because you were quite active in politics on the regional level, and it was on a side of your activity as an academic. Could you tell me why we don't see more academics being involved in politics? Because that's how I see organic intellectual. So someone whose intellect is on academia, is trained academically, but acts in everyday life.
Yeah, I've always had this idea that I want to be responsible for things. You know, I think, I mean, you know, this is like in Poland we have this idea of the public intellectual, and I think both of us, as far as I can kind of tell, I kind of think this is a nice heritage, a nice tradition. The difference between theory and practice, between those, you know, academics who want to be radical and they have all these good, you know, advices to activists and so on. For instance, a lot of the left-wing activists in kind of Anglo-Saxon academia, they will be bashing, you know, activists saying, "Oh, you're not radical enough. You know, like you have to kind of read Marx and you have to parade with Marx and you have to do this and that and that."
Yeah, you have to confront them harder.
Yeah, and if you actually do things, then you realize that you have to take one step at a time. So, for instance, in the very beginning, when I was giving out leaflets, you know, in this 2010 campaign on the street, I remember that the only way I could convince somebody to take our leaflet was when I said, we're not really doing politics, you know, we're a citizens movement. So in the beginning, you know, politics was such a dirty word that for us to actually have a contact with somebody on the street, we would have to say we're not doing politics. But then, you know, we started saying, well, actually we are doing, and then journalists would say, you're not saying you're doing politics, but you actually are. And then we would say, yes, but we're trying to say, do politics in a different way, you know? And then
Please do it with us, you are also invited.
Yeah, and then a year later, we would not get these questions that, you're saying you're not doing politics, but you actually are doing politics. So we changed the meaning of politics, right?